So the first thing I want to talk about is what is sleep, and to understand what sleep is, right? And basically, sleep is a period of time where we close our eyes, our body and our muscles are relaxed, our brain sort of shuts off, but our vital functions, so all our internal systems, they continue to be active. So basically what happens is when we are sleeping, our body overall is relaxed, our mind, our conscious mind has shut off, so we are not doing anything consciously, but our unconscious mind is still working, and our body is also still working in terms of the internal organs, the digestive system, the respiratory system, everything is still functioning, but the overall muscles, the musculature of the body, all that is relaxed, and our cognitive abilities in the conscious part of the brain has shut down, right? And it's that time is very important for us, because it's literally like how we need to put our phones away to charge so that it can be used again and again, and you need to charge your phone to maintain its battery health. Similarly, for our body, we need to shut down completely and have good quality sleep in a consistent manner for us to be able to be more functional once we wake up again. So every day, for us to be functional, to be able to have energy to go through the day, to be mentally and physically agile, alert and fit, we need sleep. Sleep is extremely important, right? So what does sleep help us do? It helps us when we're sleeping. What happens is that the cognitive abilities are shut down and the mind is processing everything that has happened through the day, and it puts all that content into folders. It's like it clears out the desktop of our computer and puts everything into folders and puts them into the hard drive, so that we can access them from the long-term memory space as well. So it consolidates memory, stores it away in long-term memory, and not because short-term memory is easily accessible, but it doesn't last long. Long-term memory lasts long, as the name suggests. So to convert short-term memory into long-term memory, we need good sleep. What sleep also does is it helps us to concentrate better, pay better attention. We know that. We all experience it. When we've slept well, we're just mentally more alert the next day and more present through the day. But if we have not cleared, so basically what happens is when we go to sleep, everything that has happened through the day, our mind processes it, throws out what we don't need, processes some of the difficult things, some of the emotionally difficult experiences, especially through dreams, etc. And then it sort of sorts things, puts them into the folders that it needs to go into, and throws out the junk, right? And then basically when we wake up, our conscious mind, which is it's just 15 to 20% of our mind, and almost 70-75% is the unconscious mind. So once long-term memory happens, it's the unconscious that's being used, and conscious becomes clean again to be used the next day, right? So it's like a desktop. If it's too cluttered, it slows down the processing. So we've all had those experiences as children where we've had an exam, last minute, sleepless nights, crammed a lot of stuff in our head, we go vomit it out on a paper, and then we remember nothing later of what we've studied. So it's literally accessible in our short-term memory, dump it on the paper, don't remember anything later. Sometimes we blank out and we can't recall anything we've studied the previous day because of lack of sleep. The conscious got over-cluttered. There was no sending off stuff to the unconscious, and it collapsed, right? So that's why we need sleep, to be able to do this cleaning out process for us. Apart from that, obviously, sleep also regulates our metabolism, our hunger, our cravings. It repairs the muscles that we have used through the day. It helps us recover any kind of self-healing that the body needs to do. All the viruses it needs to fight, all the food it needs to digest, every physical function it needs to do. A lot of the repairing and damage control work will happen only when we are sleeping. It's also very important to regulate weight. So just as much as exercise is important for fitness, the rest period post exercise is equally important for us to get the benefit of the exercise. Otherwise, we will overexhaust ourselves. Okay, so it helps us restore our well-being, and very important part is it helps us process our emotions, because so much happens through the day. So say I had a argument with somebody, with my partner, with my boss or something, and in that moment I felt like a whole bunch of emotions, did not process it. Through the day, I'll go through the day, I keep feeling things about it, keep thinking about it. It's only when we either sit to meditate or journal or do something like that, or when we sleep, do these emotions really get processed, where we're able to reflect on it and process that emotion out of our system, right? And if we don't do that, then that emotion gets unprocessed, it gets stored in our brain, and it will keep triggering us later as well. And that's where a lot of mental health issues actually comes from, right? So what is our sleep and wake cycle like, right? So now that we've understood what sleep is and what role it plays, now we want to sort of understand that how is this even established? If you've seen a baby around you, if you remember the first few months, how traumatic it is, because they refuse to sleep at the times that we need them to sleep. If any of you are new parents, my sympathies. Okay, because we know it's so hard, and every baby will go through that cycle where they don't sleep at night, and all mothers are tired because of that, because sleepless nights, all parents are tired. And baby might sleep through the day, so they have these little bits of periods of sleep that they have, but they have no sense of night and day. What is that? Okay, and gradually after the third month or so, third or fourth month, they start getting into some kind of a sleep routine where they start sleeping at night and waking in the day, right? So now what is this and how does this happen? This whole thing is linked to what we call as the circadian rhythm. What is the circadian rhythm? It's nothing complicated. It's basically our alignment to nature, where we sleep when it's dark and wake up when there is sunlight. Okay, and for a newborn baby, the circadian rhythm is something they're not born with, because in the womb it's always dark. So they sleep through most of that period. So when they're born into the world, they don't have that circadian rhythm for the first few months. So they're in shock. They sleep whenever they want to and they wake up whenever they want to. It takes about 2 to 3 months for this to be set in, which is why we tell new parents that, keep the room dark at night, etc. So what happens is slowly we start getting into this cycle where we get in tune with nature, where in the daylight our brain and body wants to wake up on its own, and at night it wants to slow down and sleep on its own. Which is why countries which have 6 months of sunlight and 6 months of darkness, they really struggle with mental health a lot, because their circadian rhythm goes for a toss. People who have jobs where they have to stay up all night and sleep in the day, they also struggle physically and mentally, at least initially, to adjust to it, because it's against our natural body clock, right? But as a human race, we have, I think, learned to make many things against our natural body clock, and sleep is one of those things. So typically, what we should be able to do is, as soon as sunset happens and darkness starts to come in, we need to start slowing down our day and start getting ready towards sleeping at night, right? But why a lot of people are struggling with sleep, especially during lockdown and during this whole pandemic space, is because this excessive use of gadgets that has happened during this time. Now we all know, of course, gadgets interfere with sleep, but why does it interfere with sleep? Two main reasons. One is it interferes with our circadian rhythm. Why? Because when we watch a gadget very up close at night, the a backlit device, that light is such that it gives the brain signals that it's still daytime. So the brain does not, so if we start fighting the urge to sleep, and that's why we find ourselves staying awake, after watching content till late into the night. We can't fall asleep anymore because the brain has become overstimulated. Right? So that's one big reason why gadgets are not good for us when it comes to sleep. The other big reason why gadgets interfere with our sleep is because of content. The way the content is created, most content nowadays is created in a way which is extremely stimulating for all our senses. So the light, the sound, everything, it overstimulates all our senses. Too many message units for us. Like one video we'll watch will overstimulate the brain so much that to now down regulate and get all that out so that my brain can calm down and finally fall asleep becomes that much harder. Right? So brain basically gets extremely alert because of that backlit device and overstimulation from gadgets. So this is what we want to remember, is that we want to try to get our body, if you want to fix your sleep, you will have to try to get back into your body's natural circadian rhythm. And that's why, because this is in sync with nature, if you put in effort towards it, it will come back, because this is what it's supposed to be. It's very natural for the body to have this. We just have to allow it to exist and remove everything from its path that's deterring it. Right? So, if you can see on the slide on the right side, I've sort of put this in, is about timings of at what time what happens. Right? So our body starts, so our body secretes, our brain secretes what we call as melatonin. Okay, so a lot of people who struggle with sleep are often prescribed melatonin tablets because the melatonin reduces in our body because of the sleep being disturbed for too long. We need melatonin secretion to happen, which starts happening in the early evening time for us to be able to sleep by night. So around 8-9, around that time in the night, our body starts secreting melatonin so that we're able to sleep through the night, and it stops around 6:30, 7:30. The melatonin secretion stops. So melatonin is a very important thing that helps with sleep. Okay, so now we'll understand sleep cycle, and this will address that question on deep sleep, right? So typically when we are sleeping at night, and let's say assuming 7 to 8 hours of sleep, we will go through 4 to 5 sleep cycles during that whole sleep time. Okay, so 7 to 8 hours of sleep, you will at least go to 4 to 5 full cycles of sleep. Okay, now what does one cycle look like? The stage one of one cycle, what it will look like is just when we are beginning to feel sleepy. So when we hit the bed and we're trying to fall asleep, this is the time when the transition between staying awake and sleeping is happening. Okay, so it's just light sleep. Anyone walks into the room or something suddenly happens around you, you will easily wake up. Okay, so you're easily going to wake up, your body and your eyes are just beginning to relax. Okay, and this is the time which your body is just beginning to transition and get ready to sleep, right? And this lasts about 5 to 10 minutes before we go into the stage 2, which is light sleep. Now, most of the time of the sleep cycle, or one sleep cycle, is actually spent in the light sleep zone, where we are in the light sleep stage, where our eye movements are slow, heart rate is slow, body temperature comes down, body is relaxed, brain activity has come down, but we're still in light sleep zone. Here too, we could easily wake up. If someone tries to wake up slightly, we will wake up easily in one sleep cycle, and one sleep cycle lasts anywhere between 1.5 hours to 2 hours. Okay, so in one sleep cycle, this light sleep could last around 20-30 minutes, maybe longer also. Okay, then after light sleep, gradually we go into deep sleep. This is where, it takes a little effort for someone to wake us up. And if someone suddenly wakes us up, and if sometimes you're woken up with a start, and you find yourself feeling really groggy, really irritable, cranky, you feel heavy in the head after that for the next few hours, that's because you were woken up during the deep sleep state. Okay, and this is very important phase of the sleep. Deep sleep is when our maximum amount of the body's repair work, growth hormone release, all the healing of the body, all the cleaning up of the mind starts happening in the deep sleep state. And we want to be in the deep sleep state more and more, so that the body gets that much more of a chance to really recuperate and and heal itself. Okay, so after deep sleep, stage 4 comes, which is a continuation of deep sleep, but it's even deeper. So it's intense sleep. And we call it as non-REM sleep in technical terms. This is the deepest state. This is the deepest stage of sleep. This is where all our brain tissue healing happens. All the hormones that need to be released to fix our skin, our hair, our organ repair, everything will happen here. Okay, and this also lasts about 30 minutes. This should last around 30 minutes as well in one sleep cycle. This is also where uh, a lot of our dreaming state might happen between our deep sleep and intense sleep state as well, right? So here, so some of our deep the dreams that we don't remember usually happens in this stage, and the dreams we remember happens in the next stage 5, right? So dreams will continue through stage 3 or 4 to 5 as well. So a lot of repair work, healing work happens here, and stage 5 is the last phase, where it's basically a lot of the continuous short dreams that we tend to see, most of the dreams that we see, which is just basically brain processing information, and some of the dreams that we remember. So usually we wake up on our own in this stage, and sometimes when we wake up remembering our dreams is because we woke up in the REM dream state sleep, and we're in that level. That's when we woke up, so we remember and recall the dreams that we've seen. Okay, so here again, the body is beginning to get back into a little bit more of movement, a little bit heart rate and blood pressure starts to increase. Brain performance is also affected by now again. So this is the part of the sleep where a lot of cognitive work is done by the brain. The brain is doing all the processing work, all the thinking work, which is very unconscious, and complex thinking and processing is done during this stage as well. So stage 3, 4, and 5 are all very important. 3 and 4 more for physical repair, and stage 5 more for mental, emotional cleaning out and repair work. Right, and we go through this entire cycle multiple times through the night. So when your fitness band says that your deep sleep is not good enough, that means you're mostly in stage 2, and your deep sleep stages are not as long or high enough. And say if you have one cycle of 90 minutes, maybe your deep sleep is not 30 minutes also, whatever your fitness band is telling you. So it's not enough for proper repair work to happen for the body. That's what it's saying. So we want to achieve more of deep sleep at night. Now, when we watch too much content before sleeping, it's hard to go into deep sleep, because the brain just spends so much time in cleaning out and clearing out all that material we've just consumed, that it never gets to further work of processing anything deeper. It's still like processing all the TV show you've just watched. Okay, that's why it's not good for us to watch stuff before bedtime. Another very interesting concept I think that we need to be aware of, which I think a lot of us are doing nowadays, is called revenge bedtime procrastination. What does this mean? There's a lot written on the slide, but I'm just going to quickly tell you what this means. It means that most of us through the day are so busy with all the chores that we have to do, all the office work we have to do, all the household stuff we have to do, that we feel that I have just not had any time to myself to do things to do those things that I want to do, right? So I have not had any time to watch TV, to just relax, to scroll on my phone, etc. So we feel like we've not done that through the day, especially when we have high stress jobs or we have a really hectic schedule through the day. Parents of very young kids might also find that hard because kids take a lot of your energy and time, or if you have a lot big joint family, you might have a lot of chores to do. So when you feel like I've not had enough time on my own to relax, what we tend to do that when it's time for bedtime, when basically everyone else is sleeping and I have nothing to do now for someone else, I will purposely, even if I'm sleepy, I will purposely not sleep, and I will use this time to do all that stuff that I couldn't do through the day. And I will delay my bedtime because I feel like I've not had any time to myself. Right? So it's basically the decision to sacrifice sleep for leisure time that is driven by a daily schedule which lacks in enough free time for ourselves. Right? So what we need to do is notice that, am I doing this to myself? Because if I am feeling like I rather sacrifice sleep to be able to relax a bit, I'm not actually relaxing because I need sleep as much. And we have to not see sleep as a chore that needs to get done, but we need to see sleep as relaxation that's good for me. And that cutting back on sleep is not going to help me tomorrow, because I still have to wake up and do all of this hectic stuff tomorrow as well, and I can't compromise on my sleep. So we have to see if we are doing this, and then maybe we'll have to make certain life choices if possible to find some free time through the day so that we don't feel the need to do this. And if we feel like, say, if you feel like, I just have no time till night, till everyone sleeps off, I have no time to myself, then decide how much time you will give to yourself to watch something or whatever, or scroll on your phone, etc. Decide the time, have a cutoff, finish that cutoff, and then keep half an hour or 20 minutes before you actually try to fall asleep where you have no screen time. So have deadlines. Otherwise, you will just mindlessly and endlessly procrastinate sleep because you're trying to reclaim free time for yourself. Right? So people who engage in bedtime procrastination know and generally want to receive enough sleep, but they actually fail to do so. So this is an intentional behavior gap. So it's not that they struggle with sleep. Eventually they will. Eventually, over a period of time, the brain gets used to it and then you find it difficult to fall asleep. But most of us actually don't have a problem with falling asleep. We actually intentionally delay it, or we do things which we know will affect our sleep. Right? So this slide, what I wanted to talk about was about burnout. Okay, so what is burnout? What does burnout look like? So we've always talked about burnout in the context of stress in the past, where we know that if we are very stressed, eventually we get tired and we burn out. Okay, but how do we recognize when burnout happens? Because often lack of sleep will result in burnout, and burnout will result in bad sleep as well, either oversleeping or very little sleep or disturbed sleep as a result of burnout. It's important for us to recognize burnout when it's happening so that we can take steps to fix it. Okay, so typically burnout, what it's looking like nowadays is that you start feeling like you're talking to people, you like those people, you love your friends, you want to hang out with them, but you don't actually want to listen to what they're saying. You don't want to actually connect because it feels like too much. Your brain very quickly feels foggy. It feels like there's just too much going on. I don't want to actually mentally and emotionally engage because it's exhausting. Okay, so that's a sign that you're burning out. Other signs of burnout will look like, even when I wake up in the morning, the first thing after waking up from sleep, immediately my brain goes into hyper mode and I start either feeling anxious, or I'm running to-do lists in my head. I'm already preparing for what else I need to get done, instead of feeling relaxed and slowly waking up to the next day. I'm immediately feeling anxious, or I'm feeling like I have to get a lot of stuff done. That's also a sign of burnout. Other signs of burnout will look like feeling all the time physically very tired and fatigued, even though you're not doing a lot physically. So despite normal relaxed schedules, you just feel like even getting up from the bed to go open the door feels like too much effort, and small simple tasks feel exhausting for the body to do. It's a sign of burnout. If you feel like, I can't pay attention to anything for too long and my brain sort of leaves my body and goes off somewhere else, again, that's a sign of burnout, right? Other signs of burnout will also be like you find yourself emotionally very unstable, where suddenly you could be overreacting to something, or you can find yourself feeling very sad or teary-eyed very quickly for the smallest of things. You're feeling emotionally extremely sensitive and you find it hard to regulate your emotions. It also again could be a sign of burnout, right? That feeling of I'm done and I don't want to engage with anyone or anything anymore, or feeling completely indifferent to everyone, even though mentally you actually love those people. You might really love your work, you might really care for your family members, but you feel like I just can't do anymore, I am done. That feeling, or feeling indifferent, I don't care what they think, I don't care what they feel, I don't want to engage anymore, I just can't do it anymore. That feeling is a feeling of burnout. Okay, that feeling of needing space and quiet, because we all need it. And again, what the lockdown and this kind of a life has done for us is it's pushed us all inside, indoors, so we have no distractions accessible anymore. We're stuck with people all the time in very limited space. So it's the same space, no distraction, no connection to nature, no connection to the outside world, and too much connection, forced connection with the same people again and again, no matter how much we love them. So we feel like we have no time for ourselves, no separation from our lives, and that in itself is causing burnout. So it's important for us as an organization and as individuals to understand that for you and for people around you, burnout doesn't have to come from a very high stress or very busy life. Burnout can come from just the fact that everything's repetitive. There is nothing new, energizing happening in life. People are emotionally feeling disconnected or overburdened. And because, it's math, is your inflow of energy high enough to match the outflow? So if you're working all day, doing chores all day, engaging with people all day, but what you're doing to bring in energy to do all that in terms of workout, good food, good social life, meeting with people you like, exercise, etc., sleep, of course, if all of that, I'm not putting it enough into my bank account and I'm only withdrawing, obviously I'm going to have a collapse and a burnout, right? So it's like the fall of my physical and mental economy. So that's how we have to understand this. The reason I'm talking about burnout so much is because I know for a fact, as a practicing psychologist, almost everybody is going through this. And because you're feeling burnt out and we want that time, that need for space, that need for disconnect with the world, we go into revenge procrastination of sleep. And we feel like that's my alone time, but it's not really healthy alone time. It's me engaging with the device and overstimulating my brain even further, and eventually leading to a collapse. Everyone's going through it, and it's important for you to recognize it. so that you can put more into your bank account and withdraw a little less, right? And how do we do that? How do we actually maintain better sleep hygiene, right? So some of the things that we want to do is, now that a lot of people have started to step out a little bit, try and go down a little bit for some fresh air. Even if you don't want to exercise, if you can, it will be great if you can do at least a 20-minute walk every day, at the least. Okay, for those of you who might be exercising a lot but it's mostly indoors, I would say then you still need to step out, because nature has a healing capacity to really rejuvenate us. So just stepping out for some fresh air, connecting with nature mindfully, notice where you're walking. Don't talk to someone while you're walking. Don't have to always listen to music when you're walking. Listen to the sounds around you. Observe where you're walking. Notice the environment. It's very grounding and it's very good for us to be able to do that. If you don't want to walk, just go downstairs somewhere, go sit somewhere at the park, at Carter Road, at Marine Drive, wherever, but go just like engage with nature. Meditation and yoga, I think it's sort of been spoken about so much across the world that now we don't even value these terms anymore, but they are so useful. Why is meditation and yoga useful? Meditation is, and you don't have to do any complex meditation. It's literally you just shutting your eyes to the external world and just observing what's going on with your internal world. Let thoughts come, doesn't matter. Don't try to control your thoughts. You just observe your breathing. Just stay quiet for a few moments and allow yourself to relax without any constant need for external engagement. Yoga is very good if you can do it mindfully and not just to work out and become like very fit and to lose weight, but from the purpose of doing a very intentional practice where you become aware of every movement that your body is making and connecting with that. It's very good to release. The more you stretch your body right now, more than active workouts, you need a lot of stretching because you're sedentary lives, so that your body can really open up, and the energy that's constantly in our body through emotions is just sort of getting space to flow more easily. And you will feel less physically fatigued if you just do some gentle stretches with your body. No white blue light, so before bed. So backlit devices all have that blue light, which is overstimulating our brain, like I already told you. So what ideal situation before bedtime, and even ancient practices like Ayurveda, when devices didn't even exist, what is ideally recommended as pre-bedtime ritual is a warm bath. Take a warm bath because it washes off all the energy of the day. You feel refreshed. Put on a soft light in your room or a candle or something like that. If you want, you can put on a nice fragrance in the room as well, an agarbatti, an oil, whatever. Sit in your bed, do a couple of minutes of just breathing, relaxation, connect with yourself, meditate if you like. And if you can, like, it really helps with sleep. For those of you struggling with sleep, to just rub a little bit of oil or ghee under your, at the base of your feet, on your soles, and then just sort of start beginning to unwind. If you don't immediately feel sleepy and you're not yet ready to sleep, but this, the more rituals you have, these 4 or 5 steps that you do before sleep time, like maybe drinking a warm glass of milk or something like that, or a hot cup of, of hot water or something like that. And then no devices, device free 20-30 minutes of time where you're just unwinding. The only thing you can do at that time is putting on soft music, not on earphones, but in the room in general, or reading a physical book, not a Kindle, not on a device, but a physical book. Why? And you can switch on a gentle light and read a book, a yellow light preferably. Why? Because it's front lit and it's not backlit. So you can read a book, and because none of us are used to reading books anymore, 100% you'll feel sleepy very quickly because we don't want to read a book anymore. So don't do devices. These seem like very generic advice, but this is the best kind of stuff you need to do. You have to start disengaging from the world. You can talk to people, have real conversations, that's fine. But no devices 30 minutes before sleep for sure. And if you put in that effort, give yourself 3 to 4 weeks, 100% your sleep will improve if you're struggling with it. Very important things to help you with sleep. First thing is, if you're struggling with sleep, don't try right now to get the ideal bedtime. First, get consistency. Even if you sleep at 1 a.m. or 3 a.m., this is what I tell my patients as well, that even if you sleep at 1 a.m. or 3 a.m., first make it consistent, then gradually try to make it earlier and earlier. If you don't have consistency, your body doesn't have predictability of when it needs to start producing melatonin to make you start going to sleep. Okay, so consistency more important than ideal bedtime. Second thing is create rituals. Even when I talked about babies who don't have circadian rhythm, how do we create circadian rhythm for babies? Only way to do that is rituals. Having 3 or 4 steps that you will do every day so that the baby starts to predict that now it's time to unwind and sleep. Same thing for our brains. To recalibrate our circadian rhythm, create rituals and use all of these things, anything that you like, which will help you relax, unwind, and predict sleep, so melatonin is produced. You have to learn to maintain boundaries between your work and your personal space, especially now with work from home. You cannot work on your bed if you can avoid it. If space is really an issue and you have to work on your bed, then make sure you do little things like put a bed cover. In the morning, you work on your bed. Before sleep, remove the bed cover and sleep on the bed sheet that's underneath. So your mind demarcates between work time and sleep time. Okay, or simple things like that. Or have a small desk that you place on your table, on your bed, that demarcates whether this is work time, and then move it away and get your bed ready for sleep in a different way. These simple boundaries, again, predict sleep for our body. If you can avoid it, don't work on the bed. Bed should ideally only be reserved for sleeping. Work at a different spot and location. And come to your bed only when you have the intention to sleep, and not to eat, not to laze, not to watch content on. That you do in a different space. Okay. Then it's very important also to keep in mind that mental health issues are related to sleep. If you don't have good sleep, it will result in mental health issues tomorrow. It might. Physical issues as well, it will contribute to. One of the first symptoms we look for most diagnoses in mental health is sleep and appetite. So it's important to pay attention to our sleep. So if you are purposely hampering your sleep, stop doing it, because it will affect you deeply later. Secondly, if you know that your sleep is not good and you're struggling with it for a while, don't underestimate it. Seek professional help if you need to. Okay, because if you ignore it, it only gets worse. We need sleep. We cannot go through too long a period without good sleep. It will affect you for sure. And sometimes poor sleep is a symptom of something, and maybe you are not catching it because you're not paying attention to it. So check it out. Sometimes we need medication as well, a little bit of medical support if we are really struggling with sleep, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I would suggest that if you're really struggling with it, speak to someone, get a professional consultation done. And the good thing is, in your organization, you already have the care services where you can access a lot of this help for free. So time, money is not an excuse. Now the only thing is intention. So use that intent to fix your sleep and to figure out what's going on for you, and get a professional consultation done when required, and try and do some of these things that we spoke about today to create consistency, create bedtime rituals, and maintain that with the intention of fixing your sleep. Okay. So this is all I'm going to share for today.